Level 1. The alarm goes off at 4:15 a.m. You have been awake since 2 a.m. One crying infant, one bottle of generic formula, a stack of bills you shuffle like a deck of cards. You are 26 years old. You have $14,000 in credit card debt. Your paycheck felt adequate until you saw the cost of daycare. So you run the math. You skip meals. You don't complain. You learn to sleep in 40-minute increments. That's survival at this level. And then one morning, you find it. A fever. Buried in the middle of a Tuesday. A sick child means you can't go to work. Missing work means missing rent. You stare at the thermometer. You quietly give them Tylenol. You drop them off anyway because the system doesn't reward honesty. It requires your presence. Your days are 16 hours. You stop counting after month 2. You never see the pediatrician. You see the urgent care doctor on a Sunday. You are the foundation, the part nobody helps, the part society ignores. The apartment is quiet. It's late. You look down at the crib, and for the first time, you realize love is terrifying when you can't afford a safety net. Level 2. 5 years later, you're in the neighborhood. Not the rich neighborhood, the adjacent one, where the property taxes are high, but the public schools are rated an 8 out of 10. But you're there, and that's the shift. You're structuring their future now. Junior soccer leagues, dental braces. You sign the mortgage on a 30-year fixed rate. You sit across from a loan officer for the first time. You explain your debt-to-income ratio without flinching because you've run that spreadsheet 40 times in the past week. That's your currency at this level. Planning. The project. Middle-class stability. It will almost certainly result in your own burnout. You don't model your own mental health. Nobody asks you to. You model college savings plans, insurance premiums. You pay them cleanly. The child moves to the next grade. The second rule. Proximity to good zip codes is proximity to opportunity, and proximity to opportunity means proximity to debt you'd rather not have taken. Welcome to the first layer of the parenting machine. Level 3. You're managing their advantages now, their grades, their coaches, their schedules. A team of one private tutor, one travel league coach. You stop counting the cost of groceries. You think in developmental milestones now. Not basic needs, not survival. Optimization. You close your first major parenting transaction independently, a $12,000 check for a specialized summer academic camp. You are the one driving the SUV, but in the orientation room, the director is talking directly to your child, assessing them, looking at them when the questions get complicated. That's the shift at the upper middle class. You're no longer just protecting them, you're positioning them. You start to see the competitive architecture of childhood more clearly. The school district's gifted program is heavily gated. Your private test prep makes passing it possible. You know what it means for the kids who can't afford the prep. You don't say it. Nobody says it at the PTA meeting. The third rule at this level, you stop asking if the child is happy today. You ask if the child is viable for tomorrow. At this level, that question is the only one left. Level 4. You're sourcing access now. Not just paying for programs, you're bypassing the lines. The headmaster calls you directly, not the secretary, the headmaster. Exclusive private schools route admission spots through your social circle. 3 kids, 3 acceptances. You've never missed a donation target. That's worth more than your child's test scores. You manage a $2.5 million trust for each of them. You start to understand leverage in its purest form. Not financial leverage, social leverage. The knowing. You know which college counselor has a direct line to the admissions dean before the application season starts. You know which board member is quietly stepping down. You don't bribe anyone. That's not what this level is about. But you know. And the knowing makes your child's path frictionless. Then your child makes a mistake. A serious one. A damaged car, a broken law. You don't lose your composure. You don't let them face the system. You hire 2 attorneys within the hour. The record is sealed. At this level, consequences are for other people's children. Level 5. The calls come from different time zones now. Sometimes from Zurich, sometimes from a boarding school in New England. You manage their portfolio, not their daily lives. Each child is a beneficiary of structures worth between $15 million and $40 million. You are no longer raising them day to day. You are the bank rolling their existence. That is a subtle but seismic distinction. You sit on a foundation board, a $5 million pledge to the university. You vote yes. Not because the university needs a new library, but because losing the legacy status would cost your lineage its prestige. It's a parental decision disguised as a philanthropic one. You travel constantly, they travel constantly. You have dinners with them in Aspen, not the kitchen table. These are not family dinners. They are relationship maintenance. The relationship is the inheritance. Your identity as a parent has quietly restructured itself around wealth management. You don't notice, they do. Level 6. There are dozens of cousins in the bloodline. Your children are the primary heirs now. Your name is on a hospital wing. Not literally, but in every way that matters. When the family office performs, your children's future expands. When it doesn't, nothing changes anyway. This alters everything about how you view them. You stop optimizing for their careers. You optimize for the 50-year wealth preservation cycle. You stop thinking in generations. You start thinking in dynasties. You structure their marriages through prenuptial agreements drafted by a dozen lawyers. 3 months of negotiation, 4 jurisdictions. The closing dinner is in Monaco. You structure their allowances through a generation-skipping trust, feeding into an offshore holding. The tax efficiency is substantial. You stop attending their minor life events, not because you're too busy, but because the emotional connection isn't required anymore. Your family world has narrowed to people who protect the capital. Level 7. There are 2 calls today. One from a private equity firm. They want your son to sit on the board. He is 24. He knows nothing about the industry. They want your name. The second call is from a senator. You take both calls from the estate. No toys on the lawn, no framed kindergarten drawings, just glass, silence, and a family crest that moves markets. You are not raising humans anymore. The wealth is raising them. Their positioning, their sentiment, and their social appearances move public perception. When they attend an event, others watch. The moral architecture of parenting becomes entirely abstract at this level. The emotional consequences are too diffuse to feel, too distributed across nannies, boarding schools, and handlers. You don't feel their isolation. You feel the family legacy. You optimize the legacy. That is the system. The 7th rule. There is no normal childhood anymore. You are the institution. Level 8. You don't carry the title of mother or father. There's just the patriarch, the matriarch. A name attached to a global empire, stakes in 5 continents, 2 private banks. You are 78 years old. Your children are in their 50s. They are strangers who share your jawline. 3 world leaders know your grandchildren by their first names, because the influence flows in both directions. The exact number of the family's net worth is known to 4 people. Your children are not among them. You do not dictate their lives anymore. The trust dictates their lives. 2 years before a global market shift, you move the family assets to safe havens. The cost of this level is not something anyone prepares you for. The children you trust number exactly 0. Beyond the family office, nothing. You have given them more access to the world than anyone can understand, and you have entirely removed their need to participate in it. You are too embedded in the wealth to be a parent. The system would cost more to dismantle than to keep. A mahogany dining room, 4 heirs, no warmth at the table. You speak for approximately 6 minutes about the estate. The room listens to every word. Then you stop, and the bloodline moves forward. Somewhere in a cramped apartment in a city that never stops moving, a 26-year-old looks at a plastic stick with 2 pink lines for the very first time. Their badge says, "Hourly employee. It always will." They think this is about love. They think the system rewards good parenting. They don't know yet what the system actually costs, but they will find out. The baby kicks, the alarm clock blinks, and the machine takes another step forward.